Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
ChiroThin plug-and-play chiropractic-only weight loss program is adding hundreds of thousands of dollars and nearly unlimited supply of new chiropractic patients to offices all over North America. Yes, it's even approved by Health Canada. You don't have to change your philosophy, learn a new technique, or spend money traveling to seminars. Just take their system, implement it, and experience exactly what you've been looking for: increased cash revenue and more chiropractic patients. For more information or to test ChiroThin in your office, go to chirothin.com and click on the pricing tab. All right, TCP listeners, I have an incredible guest today, and that is Dr. Chad Woolner. Chad, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. Good to be here. How are you?
Amazing. I think I was looking back on those Facebook memories today, and it reminded me that we had this discussion about this specific podcast interview probably about a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. I remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago when you sent me the official invitation to be on the podcast. I was like, it's about time, man. So I'm excited. Super stoked to be here, man.
It's crazy, 300 episodes almost later, and we're finally getting this done. So now for those doctors out there who actually don't know who you are, explain a little bit about, introduce yourself. Tell us about you as a chiropractor, you as really a leader also in, I would say, marketing, chiropractic marketing as well, but also the father and just the leader in your community.
No, appreciate that. So golly, I have a lovely wife and 3 beautiful children. You and I kind of share that unique connection of adoption. All 3 of my kids are adopted. And so we had a really pretty neat moment a couple years back at one of the funnel hacking lives where your wife, Karen, and I and you were all chatting about our experiences with adoption. So that was really neat. Obviously, that's a big part of my life, as you can imagine, you being a family man as well. As a chiropractor, I've been in practice almost 10 years. I have been through all of the ups and downs, all the highs and the lows that come with owning and running a practice. And we recently took the big leap of integrating our clinic. We brought on a medical director, and now we have a full-scale integrated clinic. We're still in the process of kind of going through all the grind of getting credentialed and all that fun stuff that comes with that. So that's been an adventure. We'll put it that way. It's been an adventure. But I started using ClickFunnels back when it was first in beta. Russell Brunson and I go way back. And he invited me to start playing around with this software. I figured it would be big, but I didn't realize at the time, how big it would be. I didn't realize it was going to be crazy, crazy big. And so I was just kind of messing around with it and started kind of doing some testing and experimenting with it, figured out some funnels that were working, and have obviously since refined them. And that's really been kind of I think the primary thing that I've become known for in the profession is somebody who knows how to use ClickFunnels and knows how to attract in really high quality patients into my practice and other practices using funnels. And so that's been really a lot of fun. It's been obviously very rewarding and very been honored by the fact that I've had the opportunity to work with and serve and help as many chiropractors as possible. So it's been fun. I love what I do, both as a chiropractor and as a marketer for other chiropractors, helping them out. So
very cool. I can just imagine that moment that Russell Brunson came to you and said, "Hey, I got this company I'm starting, or it's called ClickFunnels. Maybe you should check it out." And you were probably yeah, good luck with that.
Right. No, when he first started it, when he first showed me it, it was so buggy. You couldn't even resize images and stuff. I mean, it was, and so when I say a beta tester, I literally mean I was literally working through bug after bug after bug. And so what was interesting was I kind of sort of shelved it temporarily because I couldn't use it, but that's kind of the thing he was wanting me to do, is kind of show where are all the mistakes at, work through all the bugs. And so that's what we were doing at first. And, it's interesting because his whole goal behind it originally, when he first developed ClickFunnels, was he wanted to create a utility, something that was indispensable to, just like, your electricity bill or your internet bill or things like that docs know you don't question paying. That's just something that is so indispensable to your business that you would never even question turning that off. And it's funny, you being obviously an avid ClickFunnels user, ClickFunnels being responsible for probably bringing you in a significant amount of revenue that you bring into your life. You're right. Right. And sitting in front of your 2 Comma Club award there. So it's definitely achieved that status of being, or that indispensability, if we'll call it that I don't think you would ever dream of canceling your ClickFunnels membership, would you?
No, not anytime soon. And I mean, here's the thing too, is the beautiful thing. And by the way, whoever's listening in right now and doesn't know what ClickFunnels is, just head over to clickfunnels.com. You'll find it really quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean, the beautiful thing about it is, like, when I started looking at online business, it was all about blogs and websites and HTML and getting people to build stuff. And it really it has opened up a completely new world of online marketing and business for pretty much anyone who's an entrepreneur out there these days. So yeah, it's a pretty incredible tool. Let me ask you this question. I mean, I'm going to kind of circle back on the integrated practice discussion.
Yeah.
We have Chiros listening. What was the impetus for you of, like, okay, look, this is something that, because clearly to me, like in my practice, whenever we discussed about having any sort of integration, that kind of integration, it was a big discussion. I mean, it was not an easy or simple discussion. How did that come about for you? And, how long has it taken for you to actually make that, like, to fruition, like bring it to where it is today?
Well, it's just the opposite for us, Ed. It's really easy. We just did it yesterday. And no, it's funny you asked that, because honestly, the moment in time when we made the decision where we pulled the trigger on it, practice was going great. It wasn't an issue of any sort of lack of fulfillment in practice or things weren't going well. Practice was awesome. We were collecting a lot of money. To me, a lot of money, that's kind of a relative term, but I mean, we were profitable. I had a tremendous amount of autonomy and freedom as a result of my practice. So I was really happy in terms of the fulfillment. Where I felt like we needed to expand was just in this idea that I felt like there was more we could do to better serve our community. And specifically, so much of you say that word impetus, so much of the impetus that has driven me in terms of the decisions I've made in my business has been a result of some pretty personal things that have happened in my life. I've often said, and I'm sure you would agree with this, and I think you've maybe said it similarly, I think we find some of our greatest purpose from some of our deepest pain. And that's been the case with my decision to become a chiropractor. My wife was involved in a car accident years ago. For anybody who's heard my story, they're familiar that, we had very minimal exposure to chiropractic. My wife, Amber, really got some severe whiplash injuries. She saw a chiropractor. It changed her life, changed my life. That's what prompted me to become a chiropractor. She has dealt with a variety of chronic health issues over the years, including obviously infertility, which is what obviously was the impetus in us moving forward with adoption. And then she developed thyroid cancer, which was a whole adventure and crazy thing. So she had her thyroid removed, dealt with all the imbalances that come as a result of that and problems, and just balancing those hormones becomes such a moving target. And one of the challenges and problems that she developed as a result of this, and I honestly, I tell this story whenever I do like one of our dinner talks we do dinner talks every week regarding our integrated practice. And I can't hardly tell the story without getting pretty emotional about it, because it's very real and still very raw to me. She started dealing with really severe insomnia. And when I say that, I need to qualify that, because people are like, oh, I totally know. I have a rough night's sleep all the time. And I'm like, we're not talking about a rough night's sleep. We're talking about she literally does not sleep she did not sleep for night after night after night until finally she would literally, her body would just shut down. That's the only way she would sleep, is her body would physically just shut down. And so it was horrible. We were sleeping in different rooms, and there would be nights in the middle of the night where I would hear her crying across the hallway, you know? And so it was really tough for me to be able to deal with that. And so we're looking for a miracle. And so we at the time, I was actually in Puerto Rico at Mark Wade's Puerto Rico mastermind group, and I met a guy who was doing stem cell therapy at a clinic in Utah. And at the time, it was like at the lowest point. I was actually in Puerto Rico by myself while my wife was struggling with her crap. You know, here I am having fun in Puerto Rico, and she's sitting there struggling. And so this friend of ours says, well, you know, have you ever tried stem cell therapy for her problems, you know, with insomnia? And we're like, no, I wasn't even aware of that. And so we took her to Utah at length. Basically, that's what we decided, was we kind of viewed it as kind of this Hail Mary. Well, we'll give it a shot. And we did it. And it took about 4 weeks, but I mean, it was like a light switch that went off where all of a sudden she started sleeping on her own. And it was so miraculous to me. And we had already contemplated and already started the ball moving towards integration, but this just further solidified to us that this was the right decision we needed to make, because we knew that we could incorporate services like providing stem cell therapy that could change people's lives, like it changed my wife's life. And so we just so happened, it was very serendipitous in the making, in that we had a friend of ours that we go to church with who's a medical doctor. He's an ER physician. He was just burnt out, ready for something new. And we talked with him, and the stars aligned correctly. He joined our team. We've been going through the integration or the credentialing process with the insurance panels and all that crazy stuff. But meanwhile, we've been offering stem cell therapy, and it's been changing people's lives. And so it's just the driving force behind it wasn't so much a cash grab, even though we'll obviously make lots of money from this, which is fantastic. I've never felt, in fact, to the contrary, I've never felt like making money and creating meaning and purpose have never been mutually exclusive things. To the contrary, I feel like those things go hand in hand when done the right way. And that's really what we've done to do this integration. We know that this is going to be
Hey man, I lost you.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. No, it was good though. I mean, like the last thing that just before you kind of froze there was talking about how, and discussing really just, you know, the fact of like being, well, what I was thinking and pulling from this is like just being open.
Yeah.
Open to the discussion. I hope this is recording. This is good. Like it is good because it's real. It's life, man.
Yeah.
You know, just being open, because like there was times when I was in practice where I wasn't so open. You know what I mean? Like I was very closed off to new opportunities, but also new ways that I could help people.
Right.
You know what I mean? New ways that I could be of service to my community. And I like how you say, you know, that, you know, having a great income flow and helping a lot of people aren't mutually exclusive, because that's completely, I think if you do the one thing right, the other will actually follow it through contribution.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've always said, profit follows passion, not the other way around. I think sometimes we think the opposite. We think that you go for the thing that's going to make you the most amount of money. And then that in and of itself, once the money starts flowing, then the passion will follow. And I think most people who've experienced that, rarely is that the case. Whereas, you know, if you can find something that you can be passionate about, believe in, and rally behind and really move forward with, you know, and I think about it in terms of like with your Men of Iron project that you're doing, that's a real passion project for you. And it's allowing you to serve a lot of people at a very deep and meaningful level. And I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing if you were to be asked point blank, you know, is this something you would do even if you didn't make money? I think the answer would be a resounding yes, you do it even without the money. And it just so, you know what I mean? And that's when you know you found the sweet spot, you know, where what would you do even if you know, didn't make money doing it? And that's the same thing when I started originally, like teaching chiropractors about funnels. It was something where I knew, like, look, even if I'm not going to make money doing this, I still know it's something that I want to do, something that needs to be done, something I can do to really help people. And I know in terms of our integration, we're certainly not making money right now. We're bleeding a lot of money. You know, it's like, it's not for the faint of heart in terms of that initial uptake or an initial start. It's a very fast way to bleed out a lot of money. And so I understand that in the long haul, it's worth that, because again, it's something we're very obviously passionate about. And the thing I would say too, in terms of being open, the thing that's, I think, maybe surprising and maybe shocking to some docs when they hear this is I have become far more straight as a chiropractor in my philosophy since integration than before integration. If that ironically and sounds weird or not, it I think maybe should make sense in terms of it allows me to not play medical doctor.
Yes.
Or metapractor, meaning like, look, I can just be the chiropractor and just do that and be stoked about that and focus all of my time, energy, attention in being the chiropractor, being a master at adjusting and really focusing that conversation around that, because that's what I do. And then letting the medical doctor take his unique perspective in tandem with what we're doing. And I would agree to some docs who might be listening who are like, the medical paradigm is completely incongruent with the chiropractic paradigm. I would agree to a point. I would say the two can be in parallel, you know, because they are separate. They are separate and very distinct, but they work together in cooperation when the right approach, when the right team approach is taken. You know, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, let's face it. I mean, when, you know, like if we want to go down that path, I mean, surgery saves lives.
Right.
You know, surgery takes lives. It can. I mean, there's, you know, prescriptions when used properly can save someone's life and can really transform someone's quality of life even. You know, I mean, I mean, if you don't have a thyroid, I mean, there's not a lot of things, you know, you can keep adjusting C2 and C1 or whatever, you know, like, I mean, I get that, but I didn't get it a while. Like, I mean, it was just, you know, I was very, very stringent. And I want to come back to a couple things that I'm pulling from this too, because we're not really following my normal flow, but I'm going to pull this back for everyone because I pulled a quote out here for you. I'm going to take this as your quote.
Okay.
Profit follows passion. I like that. So we're going to use that as your quote today.
Cool.
I think we've definitely discussed the struggle. I mean, I hear you too, is the struggle of balancing, you know, the chiropractor and then the business and service inside of the community and all of those different things that can come up. And that's the inner turmoil that we have as doctors. And investing in yourself and your passion, you know, investing in your business. The reason that I am where I am today, the reason that you are where you are today is because we're not scared to double down. We put all of our chips in, and that's what gets us to the next place. And actually, I think I learned that from Russell Brunson. So,
so true. You know, the term that's been coming to my mind as of late, and I'm not trying to steal a second quote out of this by any means, but it's, do you operate your business via reduction or production? There's, you know what I mean? And I find far too many chiropractors, they have this scarcity mindset. They have this fleet and retreat mindset. Let's just pull back the reins on everything. Let's just hold back. Let's not do anything. And I've always thought, and I guess it's probably, like you said, probably largely Russell Brunson's influence. If things are tight, you can either reduce or you can produce. Those are your choices, you know? And I choose to produce because that makes, just for whatever reason, it makes way more sense to me in terms of, look, if I'm coming up short in terms of cash flow, then I just have to produce more. So what do I need to do? I mean, and it's a simple thing. Look, if you know your numbers as a chiropractor and you know, let's say a patient is worth $2,000 to you and you are short and you're in a crunch and you need to pull an extra 10K into your practice. Well, good news is you just need to get 5 new people through the door. That's it. You know, I mean, produce, don't reduce, produce. So
I'd always do that. When I was in practice, it was like, okay, who can we fire? Like it's where it is. And I mean, and by the way, business is business, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's online business, it doesn't matter if it's, practice or whatever it is all about production. I had a discussion with someone actually about this very morning before I got on this interview. And I really miss that. I haven't produced anything really, built anything in about 4 months. And then yesterday I sat down and built an app, and it was like so fun. It's like 5 hours in Starbucks just building an app. So let me put, clearly you're a funnel master, right? Like that's what you do, and that's the ClickFunnel master for everyone who's listening. Now, we build funnels over here, like with Laptop Lifestyle, and help doctors too. But look, we do not, I'm very clear on this. Like, we do not help doctors get new patients. Okay.
Right.
And part of that reason is because we've never really been able to figure it out. So number one is, this is what part of the specialty is, like that. What it is, like I should say, your genius is helping doctors actually create funnels that can help them build their practice. Tell us a little bit more about how you use funnels to help bring people to your practice as well.
No, it's a great question. And I appreciate that. One of the things that I admire about you, again, I think these are things you learn in business, especially in terms of synergy, is recognizing your strengths, having a strong degree of self-awareness, and recognizing kind of your place in that ecosystem. And so that's something, again, for me, is I don't make the claim that I teach docs how to create virtual practices, or, in terms of, that's something I can talk about in terms, because I've had that experience. But again, that's not what I'm known for. That's not the thing that I'm going to, wave that flag. And so it's really cool to see that, because that makes it easy for docs who are like, well, Ed builds funnels and you build funnels, and so why are you guys even talking to each other and stuff? And it's like, look, we support one another, and there's a lot of other docs who there's always going to be a certain degree of overlap, but everybody recognizes their kind of unique place, so long as you have that magic ingredient of self-awareness, right? Mm. So in terms of getting new patients in our practice, for us, I would say the biggest driver behind what makes what we do, and it's going to sound very general, but I can get more specific. We can dive real specific. I make sure that we frame things in context of value-based offers. I think that's the big problem that I see with the reason why most docs struggle with funnels, if they've tried their hand at funnels, is that most do what I would consider deal-based funnels rather than value-based funnels. Yeah. You can spot a deal-based funnel from a mile away. You can sniff it out, because they'll typically use buzzwords like crazy. I've got a crazy deal for you. So up there in Vancouver, you're up there in Vancouver, it would be Ed Osborne saying the classic line on the funnel of, "Hey, everybody in Vancouver, BC, it's your good friend, Dr. Ed Osborne, and boy, have I got a crazy deal for you," And so that's typically how you're running into a deal-based funnel. And for me, the what of the offer is not nearly as important as the how and the why of the offer. That's the thing I always try and talk about in terms of an offer hierarchy. When we look at what the offer is, it could be the same deal, if you want to say that, a $21 offer, but in terms of the context of how you package that and how you present it makes all the difference in the world, right? So instead of me saying, "Hey, Boise, it's your good buddy, Dr. Chad Woolner, and I've got a crazy deal for you," instead, and we're talking like simple tweaks. Sometimes we know that analogy of like a 1 degree shift makes all the difference in the world, right? It's just, and so for us, I basically teach docs, if you can make just a very simple shift, be a little bit maybe perhaps more vulnerable or transparent in the way you frame that offer. So something as simple as you putting up an offer and saying, "Hey, Boise, my name is Dr. Chad Woolner. I'm a chiropractor here in the area, and I want to help more people. And I realize that sometimes a barrier to people getting the help that they need is that initial impression, coming in. So we realize sometimes there's some hesitance that people have in establishing a new relationship with any healthcare professional, be it a chiropractor, medical doctor, dentist, podiatrist, you name it, right? And so what we want to do is we want to make that first step a little less scary. We want to reduce the risk to you, which is why we're going to offer you for a limited time, an offer to come in for $21 even or whatever. But what all of a sudden you're doing is you're shifting the conversation in such a way that who you're talking to are not the crazy people looking for crazy deals, but instead you're looking for people who are legitimately wanting help, right? And if you can frame the conversation in terms of that context, then all of a sudden what it does, it doesn't make this 100%, it's not 100% now all of a sudden all the people are coming in, but it's going to dramatically shift the landscape of the demographics or the makeup of the people that are coming into your clinic now, because they've been framed around this idea that
Right.
I need to come in here for help. He's going to make it easy for me to start that process. I still want help. I'm not here because of $21 per se. I'm here because I want help. And he seems like he's being a straight shooter with me in terms of getting me started on that path. Let's give that a shot, So
Very cool. And so, I mean, because we don't have a ton of time to get into.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to talk about funnels. Some doctors may not be turned on by funnels, but I'd love to talk about funnels all day. Now you have a webinar coming up. Now I just have to be careful because your webinar is in about a week, like 7 days from now.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this, if we drop this URL, this link for docs, will this be a reoccurring link where, say, if I listen to this podcast 2 or 3 months from now, I can get into another webinar or one that's similar?
Yeah, very likely. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Can you drop the, so how can doctors learn more?
Yeah. www.chirofunnelsecrets.com/register.
Beautiful. Okay. So listeners, you can head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. We're going to have a webpage dedicated to our discussion with Dr. Chad Woolner today. And we're going to have links and resources as well to everything he's mentioned here, including some other resources that'll be coming up shortly. If you're listening actually on your mobile, like 60% of you are, actually open those show notes and you're going to find those links and resources right there, and you can connect and register for the next webinar. All right. So let's head over to the TCP time machine. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. So here we go. So we're going to put you into the TCP time machine. We're going to send you back to a younger version of yourself. Now, this is right after you came out of chiropractic college. Now, you have all the life experience and knowledge you have today. What would you say to that younger self?
Boy, a lot. I would say, golly, this is a tough question. You're going to have to edit this in terms of the big, long gap. I would say start with providing people with more value. Think in terms of create more value for your community. If you can create more legitimate value, don't hack reciprocity, as Seth Godin puts it. Right? Seth Godin wrote an incredible article about hacking reciprocity. Basically, don't do something just because you want to get something in return, because what winds up happening is the thing you give tends to wind up being cheap and falls short. It's flat, right? Do stuff in terms of value because you genuinely want to create value for people. And if the tide will rise, it rises for everybody. So create more value, whatever that looks like for your community. Do whatever you can to just provide more value than anyone else. If you can do that, you'll be successful in business no matter what you do, no matter where you are. Just be committed to creating more value than anyone else in your market.
That's beautiful. That's so true. It's so true. Okay. So last thing I'd like to end or wrap up the show with is really a resource. So I'm interested to know, what does Dr. Chad Woolner listen to? What is he reading right now? What is he going to drop as a resource that every doctor should go and look up right now?
One of my favorite books of all time in terms of the mindset for chiropractors that they need to have to be successful. I love the book Selling the Invisible by Harry Beckwith. Such an awesome book. He drops some really incredible nuggets. One of my favorite quotes from that book is, he says, "In the absence of value, cost is the only consideration." If docs want to get out of that rat race to the bottom, who's going to be the cheapest, that's your answer right there. Provide more value. And that kind of goes back. I hate to quit harping on that same thing, but it's so important. It's all about creating more value. So
interesting. And I get caught in this too. And I hear this from my mentors sometimes, like I undervalue what I do. And I think a lot of chiropractors undervalue what they do.
Oh, big time.
The service.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I want to thank you so much for being on the Chiropractic Philanthropist today. And actually, again, I say this on every episode, but I can't stress this enough. You are truly giving back to the profession when you show up and you're transparent. You drop as much value as you did today. And I want to thank you for that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And just my quick plug to you is the invitation meant a lot to me to be here today on this. I felt like your podcast is so well listened to and so well respected in the profession. I felt like this was like the capstone for me of feeling like I've legitimately arrived being on this podcast with you. So I have made it, everyone.
Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to the chiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Chiropractic Philanthropist.